Hey, everybody, and welcome to another segment of AstrologyAnswers.com's weekly forecast. My name is Terence. The week begins on Monday, August the 29th. Last week's video, I was discussing the new moon was on the 27th on Saturday. And I was saying you want to wait till the first week of the new moon to be launching new jobs, new projects, pitching new ideas, because the energy in the new moon in Virgo is very productive, work-oriented, and it's on the upswing, and it's aspected by ambitious, restless Mars, really wanting to go for those goals. So this is going into the first week of September, and it's very favorable for getting back to work. On Monday, the moon that sets the public tone will be in Libra. The moon in Libra seeks cooperation, harmony, it's diplomatic, it's sociable. There's a real friendliness and let's work together energies. And the moon will be in harmony with communication Mercury from about 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Pacific time. Moon Mercury is good for writing, communicating, or talking about your feelings. By 1 p.m. for those next 2 hours, the moon will be in harmony with assertive Mars. You'll be feeling more ambitious, more assertive. It's very favorable for having business meetings and really asserting your ideas. But on a personal level, this could be good for exercising, for going on an adventure, for feeling more courageous. By 4 p.m., to 6 approximately Pacific time, the moon will be aspecting Jupiter. Now it's an opposition, which is a certain amount of tension, even though Jupiter is all this benefic energies. So by late afternoon Pacific time, you want to make sure that you aren't having overinflated expectations or going over the top, with overindulgence or spending too much money. Now, you may be feeling really good and optimistic because of the Jupiter, but you could be overdoing it. That could be because it's going into the early evening. For most of you, maybe you are eating too much and drinking too much, but really enjoying yourself. On Tuesday, the moon continues in harmonious Libra, cooperative Libra. The Libra energies with the moon is always seeking overall a win-win situation for everybody. And the moon will be in harmony with business pragmatic Saturn around 5 p.m. for those next 2 hours Pacific time. So that moon Saturn, you're being more sensible, more practical, you're feeling you're using more of your common sense. It's really good for making business decisions and accomplishing your goals. On Wednesday, the moon continues in Libra, but it's going void of course, about 3:44 a.m. Pacific time until 10:12 a.m. Pacific time, at which point the moon goes into Scorpio. Again, when the moon is void of course, the energy is flat, it's unproductive. Just stay the course, stay with the routine. Don't make any major new decisions or launch any major new projects until the moon goes into Scorpio at 10:12 a.m. Pacific time. Scorpio energy is very driven, compulsive, passionate energies, wherein Libra is more friendly, more sociable. But that would be a good time when the moon goes into Scorpio and we're in this new moon week of all this work and service to really get passionate about going after your goals. Thursday, September the 1st, ambitious, assertive, goal-oriented Mars will be in harmony with expansive, generous, optimistic Jupiter. In general, Mars can mean work projects, when in harmony with Jupiter can mean lucky, successful work projects. And so this would be an ideal day, especially with this first week of the new moon, to be starting a new job, starting a new project, or interviewing for a job or some significant project you're pitching. In the early evening, maybe more by mid-evening Pacific time, when most of you will be sleeping, the moon will be in tension with Uranus. Well, Uranus is all this exciting but anxious, unpredictable energies. So that could indicate that many of you are having a restless sleep, or not getting much sleep. It might be from all the excitement of the Mars-Jupiter that you just can't relax because you're so excited. Friday, the moon continues in intense, passionate Scorpio, but will go void of course at 10:23 a.m. till 3:40 p.m. Pacific time. Again, stay the course. Don't launch anything major new until the moon goes into Sagittarius at 3:40 p.m. Pacific time. Scorpio is very focused and very introspective. And when the moon goes into Sagittarius, that represents the public, Sagittarius is very adventurous, very outgoing, very optimistic. The Scorpio can be more like a poker player and, keeping your cards to yourself and working behind the scenes with intensity. When the moon goes into Sagittarius, the overall public energy is much more outgoing, friendly, extroverted, and Mercury, decision-discerning Mercury, will be aspected by expansive Jupiter. So after the moon goes into Sagittarius, Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, and that Jupiter is connecting to Mercury. This could be great for traveling, studying. That's all thing Mercury, Jupiter. But you could be making long-range plans. You could be feeling really optimistic about future goals. Saturday, as the moon continues in outgoing Sagittarius, it will be in conflict with Mars. Moon Mars can be anxious, impulsive, irritable, but it's only happening from about 5 a.m. approximately to 7 a.m. Pacific time. So maybe for a lot of you, if you're just waking up, you might be waking up feeling, I got all these things I've got to do. And for most of you, that is on the west coast of the United States, going into Europe and further on, that moon Mars can be a really ambitious, assertive, negotiating time. On Sunday, the moon in Sag will be in a stressful angle to nebulous Neptune from 9 a.m. to about 11 a.m. Moon, Neptune, it's, you could be out of focus. You could be feeling emotionally unsure. But whatever difficulties, the emotional difficulties in the early morning Pacific time, by early evening Pacific time, the moon, social moon, will be in harmony with pleasure-seeking Venus, making for, especially on the west coast, maybe even much later on the east coast of the United States, where the moon will be in harmony with sociable, pleasure-seeking Venus. Also, the moon is not going to be much of a void of course. It's going to leave outgoing Sagittarius, and at 7:03 p.m. Pacific time, it goes into pragmatic, organized, goal-oriented Capricorn, and really setting the stage to really start the next work week, being very organized, and ready to work. I want to thank you for tuning in. I hope to see you next week with my next segment. Until then, be safe and well.